Head coach Darian Devries in Indiana basketball just won't stop offering scholarships to five-star recruits.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Well, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics. And we're going to talk some football at the end of the show because starting to see some more projected win totals for Indiana and other teams around the Big Ten. I'll give you my thoughts on that. Plus, Mike Woodson went where? We'll talk about that and how the former Indiana head coach now has taken a new job and just how bad it got here in Bloomington. But thankfully, he's not the coach at Indiana anymore, and Darian Devries is. And he continues and refuses to stop offering scholarships to five-star recruits in the 2026 class, and the Hoosiers have done it again. News was reported over the past couple of days that Indiana has extended a scholarship offer to a top 15 player in the 2026 class, a five-star forward by the name of Caleb Gaskins, Calebgaskins, Caleb Gaskins. He is 6'8". Okay, he plays at Christopher Columbus High School down in Miami, down in Florida, down in Florida again, and he plays down there. Went from Montverde Academy down to this Columbus Academy, where he averaged a year ago as a junior. This past season, averaged over 13 points a game, 6 rebounds per game, shot 54% from the floor and 33% from three. Again, Caleb Gaskins, 6'8". Down to Miami, that Christopher Columbus High School's 13.5 points, 6 rebounds, 54% from the field, and 33% from three. Now, he plays primarily as a forward, and I think that's exactly where he belongs for now. I think he is a perfect example of somebody who is really, really good, but needs a little bit more coaching. I think he's somebody, when you turn on the film, you can see that it's there. He just needs to develop a little bit more forward thinking, maybe. And I don't know if that's exactly the right term I want to use, but that's what we'll go with. And I say that because he runs the floor really well. He can handle the basketball fairly well. He can almost not run point, but he can manage the offense if need be. And then he is normally in the right place at the right time. But I noticed a little bit that he sometimes gets stuck ball watching. He sometimes kind of gets, hanging around for loose balls or for, long rebounds or things like that. He kind of gets stuck watching to see what's going to happen. He'll get out of that. He'll grow out of that. I'm not overly concerned there. The guy's a top 15 player in all of high school basketball. I mean, depending on where you look, On Three's got him at top 15. 247 has him as top 15. I mean, I've seen him as high as 10 and as low as like 14 or 15. So, I mean, he is a consensus top 15 player in the country, and Indiana has since offered him a scholarship to be an Indiana Hoosier. And there are some people, and I understand where you're coming from, there are some fans who say, well, it's just a scholarship offer. Why are we talking about it? Why does it matter? Who cares? We offered him, so did everybody else. Okay, yeah, but to land him, you've got to offer him. And to offer him, you got to know him. And Indiana has done that. That's the whole point here, folks. And I'm going to flash back to the past with Mike Woodson here in just a little bit, talking about him taking a new job, and want to remind people of how bad it got, of the fact that this wasn't happening a whole lot. Sure, we were offering some guys like this, but it didn't mean anything. Indiana wasn't in those races, and if they were, they lost every time. Whether it was top 10, top 5, top 3, heck, top 2, they always picked another school. And so that's why we're discussing this, because I'm hoping and excited to see if Darian Devries can turn it around. I can't make a prediction on it because we're just now seeing all this come into action for the first time at Indiana. Sure, he recruited well at Drake, and sure, he recruited pretty well at West Virginia, but this isn't Drake, and this isn't West Virginia. This is IU. This is Bloomington. This is Assembly Hall. This is Indiana basketball. This is as big as it gets. And so he has everything in his disposal, and you can tell right away that Darian Devries and his staff aren't playing around. We talked to you yesterday about Darian Atkins, right? The 5-star center who was offered to Indiana, who plans on taking a visit to Indiana. That's a big deal. He was 6'8" and plays as a center at high school. He very well could play as a forward in college alongside somebody like this, right? Like a Caleb Gaskins. And so whether you get both or not, who cares? We're just talking about one guy individually here. It's the fact that you're going out and offering big time 5 stars, and they're at least considering you. And so for the crowd who asked, okay, well, who else has offered Caleb Gaskins in the class of 2026? Yeah, there's big names in there. A lot of teams from the SEC, Auburn, Alabama, Mississippi State is in there. Georgia's in there too. Villanova is in there. Texas, Maryland, Michigan, couple of teams from the Big Ten. And I'm sure more will jump on Caleb Gaskins as time rolls on. But he plays a very exciting brand of basketball. He can do it all, right? He can score, he can rebound. Again, I told you he runs the floor really well. His length is really solid on the defensive end. And somebody who not only plays at a high level high school basketball, he plays in all the AAUs. He's going to be playing in the EYBL coming up this summer. He's going to be playing everywhere and anywhere he can, because he's good enough to do it. And so Indiana offers him a scholarship. We'll keep you updated on whether this ends up coming to a visit or not. I haven't seen a true visitor list for him, and so I'm sure he will get that going and have some of those lined up soon. But Indiana will be around. And if you can just start to make some hay, just start to make some progress, man. Do we understand how big of a deal it would be to start landing top 15, top 10 players in the country again? We have to do that, because I've told you, I've absolutely told you, as great as the transfer portal is, whether we're talking football, basketball, swimming and diving, I don't care. As great as the transfer portal is, you still have to get high school recruits. And I think basketball is a unique sport, because I've told you about this, the fact that each player is worth so much because there's only a handful of them on your roster. Each one is important. And if you can have a couple in your rotation every year that you're just kind of marinating back there, that you're just kind of working on and developing and getting better, and then in today's era, you got to keep them on your roster, right? And don't allow them to, or you hope that they don't transfer, not that you can hold them back, but hoping that they don't leave through the transfer portal, and you got to stay competitive with money and things like that. I get that. But man, if you can have a couple of these types of guys, the Darian Atkins, the Caleb Gaskins of the world, if they can step in and get some playing time and just get better over a couple of years, man, when they're juniors on a college team, they're going to be nasty. They're going to be so good. And we're hoping that that's the case here at Indiana. So keep up with Caleb Gaskins. We will keep you updated the more that we find a top 15 player in the country, right? One of the best forwards in the country as well. He 6'8", down in Miami. He is going to, he just received a scholarship offer from Indiana, and we're hoping that a visit is coming soon. All right, coming up on our next segment on Locked On Hoosiers, Mike Woodson went where? Mike Woodson took another job? I thought he was retiring. I thought this guy was done. Nope, he's back in basketball. We'll tell you where he went, why it matters, and tell you just how bad it got, or maybe just remind you how bad it got here in Indiana. That's coming up next right here on the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivers incredible results fast. And posting a job is free and simple. And within a day, multiple qualified candidates you'll have to choose from. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. Welcome back into a Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here again, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. Whether you're listening on audio, watching on video with the YouTube side, doesn't matter to me. I'm just glad that you're here, and your support continues to shine through. So thank you so much for doing that. Just quickly, if you're listening on audio, follow us, turn on your notifications so you never miss a new episode. Send it to everybody that you know. That way nobody misses that episode. I don't want them to be. And if for anybody that's not here yet, they need to be. They need to be here. So be sure that you send this to them. And then if you're watching on YouTube, comment your thoughts down below on Caleb Gaskins. Tell me your thoughts. Go watch this film. Let me know what you think. Also on what else we're about to talk about. Leave your thoughts down there in the YouTube comments. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Okay, all that helps us out tremendously. So thank you so much for doing that. All right, well, I know that I'm about to bring up something that has really damaged Indiana fans in the past. And some of you have already moved on from this, and others may never move on from this. And when this guy left, I thought he was done. I thought he was done with basketball. I figured he would just wrap it up, call it a career, and just ride off into not the sunset. That's not a good way to put that. Just ride off and just be done. I don't know a good way to say that. Mike Woodson, after he left Indiana, mutually parted ways. He wasn't fired. He didn't quit. Indiana respected him and let him walk away, I guess. I thought he was done. And we actually had that conversation here on the show. People were like, do you think he goes somewhere else? Do you think he'll be another coach somewhere? And I was like, no. And A, why would you want him? And B, if he does go coach somewhere else, are we really worried about it? Are we really going to be threatened by Mike Woodson coaching basketball again? Well, even though he took another job, you don't have to be worried about it because he went back to his roots. He went back to the NBA. It is reported that Mike Woodson has taken a new job where he will be an assistant coach in the NBA with the Sacramento Kings. He's going to be joining the staff as a lead assistant under Doug Christie with the Sacramento Kings in the National Basketball Association. And a part of me, yes, is surprised that he did take another job because it just seemed like he wasn't liking it anymore. Just, he's getting a little bit older and he's been coaching a long time. I mean, he coached in the NBA for a decade or so. And you feel that he then obviously came and coached Indiana and that didn't go well and just seemed like he was kind of done with the whole thing. And here we are now. He goes back to the NBA as a lead assistant for the Sacramento Kings. Now, on the other side, I'm not surprised at all that if he was to take a job, it would be something around the NBA because that's where he was. That's what he did. That's what he was somewhat good at and actually had a little bit of success. Of course, he coached for the Hawks for a while, coached for the Knicks for a couple of years, and then came to be the coach at Indiana following a short stint. And so you are happy for him. I'm happy for him. Congratulations to him. Moving back out west to be a part of the Kings staff. And I don't know, man. I thought he would be done, but I'm not surprised that if he did take a job, it was in the NBA. But I bring all this up because I'm looping all of this into our recruiting conversation today about the fact that Darian Devries, the new head coach of Indiana, is already making waves. And I think is already impressing quite a few folks in Indiana circles. I think a lot of the fans are impressed so far. I think a lot of the boosters are impressed so far. And I hope that Scott Dolson is impressed so far, the athletic director at Indiana. But can we agree that at least there's hope now? There's at least some positivity going in the right direction. I mean, man, when Mike Woodson was here, that last year was rough. It was brutal on and off the floor, because wins were not coming, the recruits were not there, the talent was not here, and the coaching was not happening. So everything basketball related was just not going well. And as the season went on, as the season started, rather, there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of hope. I had a ton of positivity about where that Indiana team could have gone because you had the #1 portal class in college basketball. I thought Miles Rice and Kenneth Carlisle were going to be legit. I thought Umar Bala would help you more than he did. I thought Malik Renew and Mackenzie Mbako and Trey Galloway, your returners last year, would actually give you some legitimate production. That didn't happen. As a group, I should say. Did not happen. And then as that started going south, so did the fans. And I'm not blaming the fans, not one bit. Not at all. I'm just saying it got ugly. It got nasty because they weren't winning on the floor. The fans were getting frustrated. He was getting booed inside of Assembly Hall. He was getting booed in Assembly Hall, was Mike Woodson. You can't have that. You can't have that. And it's an era that will go down in history for the Hoosiers. One, not good. No, not good. What's crazy is he had a decently winning record in Indiana. He was 82-53 with the Hoosiers, right? And took him to the tournament twice and then missed it his last 2 seasons. You made it the first 2 and you missed it your last 2. And I will die on the hill on the fact that if he didn't have future NBA players on his team the first 2 years, he wouldn't have made the tournament those times either. I mean, Trayce Jackson-Davis was pretty dang good and helped that Indiana team quite a bit, more than we even knew until we saw him, A, go to the NBA and do what he's doing, and B, not be on the Hoosiers. And the fact it's like, oh, crap, Trayce Jackson-Davis isn't here. We really needed him. He was pretty good, right? So I say all of that to say, hopefully there's a brighter light moving forward. Hopefully there's a brighter future moving forward, because again, that was not fun. That was not entertaining to be a part of for Indiana, a historic basketball program who made a hire that they thought was going to be successful. They thought that made sense. Former player, Bob Knight, protege. I mean, it just made sense, right? Bring back the Indiana kid and let's see if it works. And it just didn't. And so they move on from that. You bring in Darian Devries, and a new era has begun. And I think it's an exciting one. I think it should be fun. I think it should be positive, but you have to get wins. You have to beat your team. You have to beat your rivals. You have to beat the teams you're supposed to. You have to make the NCAA tournament. And to do that, you've got to get talent. You've done that through the portal. You now have to do that through high school recruiting. And you have to have the money. You have to have the facilities. You have to have the reputation to do all of those things. And I think Darian Devries is going to do that. So when we talk about the Hoosiers offering 5 stars like Davion Atkins and Gaskins, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And you need to start landing some. And if Indiana does start landing some, then we should be excited because we asked for this. We wanted this. We wanted a change, and the Hoosiers made it. They brought in Darian Devries. Whether you think that was the right decision or not, that's totally up to you. But it's not Mike Woodson. So we wish him nothing but the best. He's out in Sacramento. He's going to be a lead assistant, right? They all have those titles, and you never truly know what they do. But he's back in coaching, but he's not in college. So don't worry, Indiana fans. He's not coming after any of your players. He's going to be in Sacramento doing his thing in the NBA. But just remember, we asked for this. We asked for a coaching change. And I'm just saying, if you haven't jumped on it already, you need to support Darian Devries and what the future looks like and what the future holds for Indiana basketball. All right, coming up in our final segment on Locked On Hoosiers, flipping over to football because some projected win totals are starting to come out for Indiana, other teams in the Big Ten and beyond. We'll talk about those and give you some of my picks and predictions right after this here on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't miss moments. How about those Indiana Pacers, huh? They're 2-0 against the Cavs, and coming home are the Pacers. Incredible to see. Whether it's a game-winning shot, like we saw, or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Look, if you predicted the Pacers to come back and beat the Cavs in game 2, you could have won some cash. If you predicted Denver to hit a game-winning shot over OKC to win game 1, to steal game 1, you could have won some cash, okay? If you got a read on who's heating up, why not back it up with a same-game parlay? And how could $200 in bonus bets add the excitement if your first $5 bet hits? It's just going to make everything better, okay? So be sure you go to FanDuel right now. And if you're new, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets, all right? So make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, final segment here on Locked On Hoosiers. Again, thank you so much for being here. Shout out to all of my everydayers, because there's a lot of you out there and you keep coming back each and every day. And I saw a win total projection. This was on 24/7 Sports. One of their national writers put this out, and it was a win total projection for all SEC and Big Ten teams. And it starts at the bottom and kind of works its way up. And I just want to run through these. And it's funny because if you're keeping up with our Locked On Big Ten squad, which drops on this channel on Thursdays, we're actually doing that over there too. And it's been a lot of fun. We're working through each team. We're going to get to the Hoosiers eventually, but we're working from the bottom and through all the way through the conference on win projections and what we think is going to happen with this upcoming season. And some of these numbers, I just want to throw them out there for you. Some of these numbers are kind of wild. I mean, you look at the bottom, Northwestern's 3.5. Nobody's crazy blown away by that. I think we almost all picked under on that on the Big Ten squad. Purdue is 3.5. And I know we don't want to talk a whole lot about Purdue, and we don't want to talk about them winning football games either, but their total's at 3.5. 3.5, which means winning a conference game. They do play Northwestern this year. So maybe. I think Barry Odom is actually not a terrible hire for them. I'll be really honest with you. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's terrible. Okay. And what's crazy is he very well could get that program not fully turned around, but at least get them a win or two this year. So maybe they could go over 3.5. Keep an eye on that one. Maryland at 4.5. And this seems extremely low based off of the hype that I've heard and seen around Maryland. But for me, it seems about right. It seems about right. I mean, what about Maryland gets people excited? Tell me what Maryland has that should be like, oh, yeah, they're really going to win some games this year. No, I just don't see that at all. Michigan State is interesting. They're in there. God, listen to this. Michigan State, Rutgers, Wisconsin, and UCLA. Let me say those teams again. UCLA, Wisconsin, Rutgers, and Michigan State. Those four teams all have a 5.5 win total projection right now, according to this article. Wow. That is a crazy group to be looped in with the likes of Rutgers and Wisconsin, and then the wild cards of Michigan State and UCLA. Look, UCLA's supposed to be better, and Nico's supposed to help all that out. Wisconsin, you feel like the talent is there. You feel like it's do or die for Luke Fickell already in Madison. But man, to have Rutgers in there too, that's kind of crazy for Greg Schiano there in Rutgers. And then Michigan State, I don't know. I have no idea. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be solid, but they could also just be terrible. And they are a legitimate coin flip. We're going to talk with Matt Sheehan of Locked On Spartan sometime this summer and get his thoughts on this, because that's crazy. Those four teams looped at 5.5 wins together. That's wild stuff right there. You keep looking through. Minnesota at 6.5. No. Minnesota's bad. They're not winning 7 games. They're not going to do it. And maybe they finally move on from PJ Fleck. Maybe they finally move on from Sweater Vest and realize that it's not going to work there. USC is a fun one, which is 7.5, according to this. 7.5 wins for USC. Could it happen? Absolutely. Some would say it should happen. The fact that Lincoln Riley still has a job there baffles me sometimes, but they have great commits coming in and they have transfer portal guys and everything's just going to be okay for USC, right? I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to buy in on all that yet. Iowa is at 7.5 as well. A lot of fans are buying the hype on Iowa. I'm not necessarily, but a lot of people are. Nebraska is at 7.5. Keep an eye on that one. Illinois at 7.5. If the pundits are right and the hype is correct, then smash the over on Illinois. I mean, they're starting out as a top 10 team in some people's top 25s. I don't see it, but some people have it that way. Washington at 7.5. I think that's a sneaky good line. Continuing to look through. Michigan is at 8.5. I don't know. I'm not ready to make a pick on Michigan just yet, but 8.5 is a tough line. That's also where Indiana stands. Indiana sits at 8.5 projected. That's their win total right now, according to this 8.5. And I think that's solid. I think it's spot on. I think given the schedule, which is still favorable, but not easy, I think Indiana can win 9 or 10 games. I really do. And I think Indiana, as we've talked about, can control their own destiny going into November. Looking at it now, you'll start 3-0, obviously. You have a big game against Illinois to start the season. If you can go, your first 3 games are tough. Illinois, Iowa on the road, and Oregon on the road. If you can go in those 3 games, if you can get 2 of those, I think you're solid. And I think you would ask to beat Illinois and beat Iowa. If you can do that, cool. That's 5. Beat Michigan State at home. That's 6. Beat UCLA at home. That's 7. Go to Maryland and beat them. That's 8. Then all you have to do is either beat Penn State on the road, beat Wisconsin at home, or beat Purdue on the road. That gives you your 9th win and you're good to go. I think you can beat Wisconsin at home. I think you can beat Purdue at home. Boom. You're a 10-win team and you're back to the college football playoff. Ta-da. Just as simple as that, right? No, it probably won't be that easy, but I think Indiana's 8.5 is solid. I think it's good enough. It will be just fine. Ohio State at 10.5, Oregon 10.5, and Penn State 10.5 as well. That's not going to happen for all those teams. Somebody's got to fall. I don't know, man. We're going to have to wait and see. Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon all with 10.5 total wins projected. That is crazy, man. The Big Ten. Hey, and compared to the SEC really quickly, Texas is 9.5, Alabama's 9.5, and Georgia is 9.5. So the Big Ten getting a little bit more respect, or at least expected to have more wins this year than the top dogs in the SEC. So we'll see, man. If you can't tell, I'm excited for football season. We're going to keep talking that throughout the offseason, plus some basketball stuff as well. But that is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments. Who do you think goes over or under some of those win projections that we just talked about? Would love to see what you have to say. And if you're listening on audio, follow us, turn on notifications, and send it to all of your family, friends, and coworkers. Okay, we are back tomorrow, Hoosier fans, for another episode. So until then, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.